The term Middle East is a bit of a colonial relic, isn't it? Named by Europeans for Europeans. But geographically, it's the cradle of civilization itself, right there in modern-day Iraq. For thousands of years, empires have come and gone, redrawing the maps of this region over and over. The most recent map makers were the British and the French. After World War I, they carved up the Ottoman Empire with little regard for the people who actually lived there, ignoring ethnicities, languages, and ancient identities. Eventually, the colonial powers left, but the borders they drew, those arbitrary lines in the sand, remained. And that's where our story begins, in the 1930s. Across the ocean, a new superpower was on the rise. The United States had spent a century pushing westward, but a brutal world war had taught it a crucial lesson. Modern power flows from a single, black, viscous liquid, oil. The U.S. watched Germany falter because it couldn't secure enough of it, and the lesson was clear. Control the oil, control the world. So America pivoted. It stopped looking west and turned its gaze east, toward the lands that held the fuel for its future empire. It all started with just a single dot on a map, but that one dot would eventually expand into a vast web of alliances, secret operations, and a constant flow of weapons and money. It would lead to the construction of countless military bases, forever changing the face of the region. The story of that first dot begins with a gamble, a massive one. A California oil company decided to risk it all, venturing 11,000 miles from home to explore what they called a primeval desert. This was a huge financial risk. They were spending their stockholders' money on a hunch, a project that could very easily end in complete loss. But the bigger risk was geopolitical. The target? A deeply conservative kingdom, home to Islam's holiest sites, ruled by a royal family that was fundamentally wary of non-believing Westerners. Yet, despite all the obstacles, the king of this desert kingdom gave them the green light. He granted the company permission to explore nearly 1 million square kilometers of his land. And then the gamble paid off. On March 3, 1938, in a barren patch of coastal desert, they struck oil. It was like striking gold, but better. This discovery wouldn't just make the company rich. It would reshape the destinies of nations. Suddenly, the floodgates opened. American oil executives, engineers, workers, and their families began pouring into the kingdom. They didn't just come to work. They came to live. They built little slices of America right there in the desert, complete with air-conditioned houses, modern hospitals, and even outdoor movie theaters. These American compounds became bubbles of a completely different culture. They introduced behaviors that were considered deeply sinful in the conservative kingdom things, like drinking alcohol or women driving cars, which were literally illegal. Unsurprisingly, many locals were deeply unhappy that their government was letting these outsiders behave in ways that flouted their most cherished traditions. But the oil kept flowing, and with it, unimaginable wealth poured into the royal family's coffers, making them super rich. This new reality gave the U.S. government an opening. They approached the king with a seemingly simple proposal. How about we build a little military base right next to our little oil city? You know, just so we can protect you, and protect us, and protect the oil and all that good stuff. This was a major decision for the Saudis. They knew their people were already resentful of the American presence, referring to them as the Great Satan. Allowing a foreign military on their soil, the land of Mecca and Medina, was a dangerous political move. But the oil was just too valuable. The money, the power, the security it promised, it was an offer they couldn't refuse, so they agreed. But they had one very specific condition. The U.S. was not allowed to literally plant a flag. No flagpoles. The American presence had to be discreet. A small plaque on the side of a building would have to suffice. The deal was struck. The U.S. established its very first military operation in the Middle East, a simple landing strip next to the sprawling oil fields. This small foothold was the beginning of a military presence that would grow to dominate the entire region for the next century. Now, to build all of this, the oil facilities, the American towns, the new landing strip, you need a local partner. You need a construction company. The Americans found a promising one, a company founded and run by a man from a large, well-connected family. The man's name was Mohammed, and this detailed the story of this particular construction contractor and his family might seem small now, but it will become centrally important to everything that happens next. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter of this story. See you in the next one.